Welcome to You Are the Spell. I am Aunt Carla, and I'm so excited that you are tuning in today, this week, whenever you happen to catch this video podcast. And today is especially fun and exciting and meaningful because today, Monday, April 22nd, is Earth Day. And it's the beginning of Earth Week, and it's a global Earth Day, global Earth Week. And so as which it's impossible to talk about magic without mentioning the natural elements of earth, air, fire, and water, as which is we use them all the time. But just even as humans, the earth is beneath us. It provides stability and nourishment for us. It's where we grow our plants. We also, when it comes to air, we inhale, we exhale air, and we require it to live. And then when it comes to fire, it gives us heat, keeps us warm, cooks our food. And when it comes to water, our bodies are made up of over 60% of it, depending on where you read. Not to mention, we also need water to live and clean water. And rituals incorporate all of these natural elements because everything in the universe is made up of them. And when we place these natural elements on our altar, they act as batteries to power our spell. So before we go into the natural elements and how to use them in our spells, I really want to take a minute to talk about the importance of Earth Day. And as witches, I believe it's important that we are stewards of the earth and that we are mindful of these different supernatural batteries, if you will, natural as well as supernatural. So for me, like I often say that candle magic is my jam, right? So I'm a fire witch. I like a little bit of fire. No, I like a lot of fire. And I often joke, if you've never done a candle spell and you haven't set off your fire alarms, are you really doing magic? Are you really doing candle magic if you've never set off a fire alarm? Something to think about. But also, I also like incorporating herbs and getting connections and connecting to these different plants and becoming a plant ally, not just seeking plants to be my ally, but I seek to be a plant ally as well. I enjoy, well, for the past few years, I have been growing my own herbs, my own witchy herbs in my garden, and I've been enjoying that. And there's nothing like creating spells and using herbs that you yourself have grown. It's kind of amazing when you think about the power that you have to create herbs and then also infuse that into your magic. It's something, if you are attracted to herbs at all or gardens at all, I highly recommend that you try that. So if you consider yourself a green witch, or garden witch, or kitchen witch, or water witch, fire witch, all of these things are natural elements. And we're going to be talking about how to incorporate that. And as I said, before we go any further, I do want to give you some kind of Earth Day reminders or just something to think about. So as witches, we often use herbs and we connect with nature. So it's important that we are stewards of the earth, meaning we pay attention to the earth and the resources that we are using on a regular basis. And that means that you choose to be mindful and ethical with how you source your herbs and your crystals. Just because an herb is available, does that mean that it is for you? Or where did you get it from? Did you get it from some place that might be a company that might be over harvesting a particular herb because it's trendy? Or when it comes to crystals, are you sure that the crystals haven't been mined by like child labor? So these are things that we need to think about. And as witches, I think it's important for us not to overlook those things because I feel that those things also find a place in our magic and they become a part of how we make our magic. So don't be afraid to research the origins of the crystals when you purchase them. Ask the store, or ask whoever's selling them, where did they get them from? Do they have any kind of credentials to share? Because you really want to know what is exactly going into the magic that you are creating. Also, consider how you dispose of your spell materials. Now, I used to dispose, like old hoodoo rules would say things like, when you are through with your spell materials, you throw them into a body of running water. And the idea is that the river is carrying your spell away. It's carrying it, to its final destination as you are, creating your magic. And the more I learn about nature, the more I've gotten older, I don't feel that same way about throwing spell ingredients into rivers, into oceans, into, it's one thing if it's like, if you're working with like biodegradable, you're using like watermelon and honey, that's different. But when it comes to like, glitter and which is a microplastic, and glass jars and all this stuff, just throwing them in just doesn't feel right to me anymore. So instead, I now recycle as much as I can as possible of my spell remnants. And instead, I will throw things in the garbage and let the garbage man take it away. So instead of letting the river take it away, I let the garbage man take it away. So that is just something that I have come to terms with in my own practice. You have to decide for yourself what you want to do. This is in no means of saying this is what you have to do, because that's not what I mean. I just want you to think about how your spells, how your use of herbs and crystals affect the environment. Now, the theme of Earth Week 2024 is planet versus plastics, and that highlights the environmental hazards posed by plastic. Every year, millions of tons of plastic waste, and it ends up in oceans and landfills. And this plastic, it enters the food chain, it harms wildlife, and it pollutes our environment. So one thing though, I will say that witches instinctively do is we save jars. We save jars. So when I go grocery shopping, I choose glass jars over plastic so I can reuse them. It's a fun hobby. But when it comes to things like glitter, I would say look for biodegradable glitter because it does exist. Look for stuff that's called like mica, M-I-C-A. There are other forms of glitter. But, when I first started, I always used to love the glitter, pretty glitter, because it looked so pretty. It made the candles, pop. And that's wonderful. But again, the older I get, the more I think about the effect of glitter on the earth. So again, think about the ethics of your natural element choices. Okay, so that is my Earth Day speech for today. Take with it and do with it what you will. But I want to talk about how we use the natural elements in our magic. This is the Spellcraft Blueprint series. And we have been talking about how to create the spells that only you could create. And so last week we were talking about intention and being in alignment. Well, this week I'm talking about natural elements and how to use them, how to choose them so that you can create powerful spells of your own. So one way that you can personalize your spell crafting is to take in consideration the elements. There's air, earth, fire, water, and each of those elements has a specific kind of a specific energy. And depending on what it is that you want, whatever your desired outcome is, whatever your intention is, you can also make use of your choice of element. So if you want to increase income, for example, you want to make sure to incorporate earth in your spell. And that could mean the color of the candle that you use, or it could mean the colors of the kind of clothes that you wear. If you're interested in travel or improved communication, then that would be the element of air. So you want to include those kind of elements in your spell. Now, transformation and courage, that's represented by fire. So that's fire. And so if you're, using those kind of intentions, make sure that fire is included. And then emotions, you want to get in touch with your emotions. You want to connect with someone, or like love. You want to make sure that you are incorporating the element of water. Now, an example, and I thought this one was really interesting when it happened at the time. One of my students a couple years ago, she was using the element of fire. She wanted to become more courageous in her life. And so she began to wear red every day. That's just an easy way of incorporating fire magic. She wore red and she performed a small candle spell every evening. So that was just one way that she was incorporating fire magic in her practice. So not only did she begin speaking up more, she soon began verbally challenging people. She started getting very spicy, even strangers. And her newfound fiery nature, it even led to a few arguments with her loved ones. And it got to the point where one night her candle exploded and it started a small fire in her home. Actually, small is maybe an understatement. She had to stay at a hotel for a few days. Luckily, no one was hurt, and insurance was able to cover the losses. But that's how much fire was going on. She was just full of fire. So she came to me and she asked me for help. And I said, okay, your connection to fire, it's clearly working. It's clearly successful. But now you're going to have to bring that back. So I told her that she needed to temper it now with more earth and add more greens and browns in her wardrobe. And I also recommended that she do some dancing, some barefoot walking, like walking outside, working in her garden, spending some time in the forest near her home. This was to get her grounded, because when you have too much fire, you don't necessarily fight that with water. Air could be one, but I think in her situation, she needed earth to cover that fire, to balance the fire. So think about your desired outcome, and it may require an increase of a particular element, but you don't want to totally exclude the others. Balance is key. So when you're planning your spell, consider the elements of your intention. Choose the colors, the ingredients, your magical tools, also based on those particular elements. And many reference books and websites will tell you the elemental associations for those herbs and crystals, and you can choose accordingly. Now, if for whatever reason you're unable to use an herb or crystal or ingredient in your preferred element, that doesn't mean that your spell won't work. But the more thought that you put into crafting your spell, the more meaningful it will be. And another thing to remember is that all of these different elements of earth, fire, air, and water, they're all already incorporated in your body. So even if you had nothing at all and you were setting some kind of magical intention, putting it into action, all of these elements are already within you. And then you also have the element of spirit. So never feel that, oh, I don't have the stuff I need. The stuff you need is already inside you. But remember, by incorporating these different elements, it also helps you to fine tune what it is that you want. So I want to talk today I want to go over the different elements and how you can incorporate them and give you some ideas on how you might want to use them in your rituals. So we're going to start with earth, and the element of earth can be used for intentions related to prosperity, stability, growth, fertility, femininity, birth, grounding, employment, finances, death, and sometimes motherhood. Motherhood might also come under water. It all depends on what you're working with. So if you are doing any kind of spell or you have intentions for any of those areas, make sure that you have you make sure that you are incorporating earth. So if you want to go deeper into this element, if you are already an earth sign, like I'm a Capricorn, or if you just want to go deeper and you feel drawn to it, you can do that by learning about trees and plants. You can work with herbs and crystals. You can take time to dive into and learn about grounding techniques. You can start a garden. You can walk barefoot. You can wear earth colors. You could take a trip to the forest, go hiking. So these are ways to add more earth into your daily life as well as your magic. Now, for performing earth magic, I have some suggestions. You can grow a witchy garden with the herbs that you, and put those herbs into your mat. You can use those herbs. Let's try this again. You can grow a witchy garden with the herbs that you use in your spells and your potions. You can also learn how to make magical intention oils with herbs and roots. You can learn about burying spells. There's a lot you can do with earth, and use different kinds of dirt in your spells. Actually, just last week, I was speaking with someone about like an income, something related to money. And she said, oh, wait, can I use money from the bank? Can I use dirt from a bank? And I said, yes, you can. So there's certain traditions where you can incorporate actual dirt from a particular place. And in this case, we were talking about going to a bank and gathering some dirt and using that in the spell. So this is just different ways you can use earth in your rituals. If you are into cooking, you can get into your kitchen witchery bag. You can use herbs in your meals and your drinks. And now if you already have a garden and you're also using that into the food that you cook, chef's kiss. Now you can also learn about crystal magic if that is something that calls you, and also study the magic of trees. I always believe that trees are sentient beings that have some kind of consciousness of their own, and I think they're really, really interesting, really fascinating. So study the trees. Think about the trees. Hug some trees if that calls to you. The next element is the element of air. Now, air, it fuels the fire, it moves the earth, it makes clouds with water. We inhale and we exhale the air. It cools us off, but it can also be destructive, and it can blow down houses. And without air to breathe, we could not live. So the element of air can be used for intentions related to communication, spoken and written, but also travel, writing, healing, mental clarity, memory, music, and purification. These are fantastic things that we kind of take for granted because we use them a lot. Like, I didn't think that I used the element of air until I did more studying and learned that teaching is the element of air, because I'm speaking all the time. I'm running my mouth. I'm communicating, but also the act of being a student, the act of being a teacher, that is the air element at work. So I'm using a lot of the air element, more than I even considered. Now, you can go deeper into the element of air by learning about incense and sacred smoke, working with musical tones such as singing bowls and chimes. You might also like learning about breath work techniques. Breath work is another healing modality that might call you. So, if that calls you, if that interests you, definitely check it out. And speaking of sacred smoke, back to the whole Earth Day thing. If you are choosing herbs for purification purposes, white sage especially, is not the only herb that you can use. There are a lot of different herbs that can be sacred and be used for purification of an area, purification and cleansing. I grow garden sage in my garden. So it's not white sage, it's a green sage, but it still works. It still does the job. Also, same thing with like Palo Santo. That is a wood, but it's a wood that has a lovely smell when burned, and that also makes it the element of air. However, there are companies that are over harvesting Palo Santo, and then it makes it harder for people to have it because it's trendy. So make sure that you are being mindful of that, and perhaps using another kind of herb for purification purposes. Now, when it comes to performing air magic, here are some suggestions. So you can burn incense as offerings to the gods and manifest your intentions. Do I have I have sandalwood burning, but that's gone at the moment. Actually, no, that's not true. I don't know if you could see it. I have a what is that thing there? It's an oil diffuser, but it's like I have like a wax tart, a sandalwood wax tart, and then the little flame it's melted it, so you can just smell it in the air. So that's how I'm incorporating air even as we speak. Let's see. You can make a wish with birthday candles. By blowing out a candle, that's actually also incorporating air. Now, when I was doing some more research on air magic, I spoke to one of my witchy friends, Estrella Taylor, who is an air witch, among other things. And she's a fire witch as well. She's a fire witch, yeah, because she also like dances with fire and does really cool stuff like that. And I had asked her, because there was that whole debate about, can you blow out the candle? Can you not blow out the candle? And her answer really surprised me, because there had been a point where I used to blow out my candles all the time. And then after I got to the internet, people were like, no, you can't blow it because it's going to air is going to overpower the fire and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, ooh, okay, maybe I should be snuffing it. But now keep in mind, though, it was my magic was not harmed by me blowing it out. I was still getting what I wanted. So, but I wanted to ask, like, so I'm like, Estrella, what do you think? And her response was, when I blow out the candle, I am sending my intention out. I am dispersing my intention out into the world. And I thought, that resonates with me. So again, be careful and be mindful of the information that you hear. Just because someone does something one way, that doesn't mean it's the only way. It doesn't mean it's the right way. So use your best judgment and your discernment. So another thing you can do for air, to incorporate air magic, you can speak or chant affirmations in your spells. You can also try journal scripting as a manifestation technique. Last month or month before last, Bossy Bruja was doing this really fantastic practice that everyone following her, she wanted everyone to kind of join her in a journaling technique. And that's when you are writing things not as they are, but how you want them to be. You are scripting your future. You are writing things into being. Basically, what I write goes. What I say goes. It was really, really powerful. And if you're on her Brujas app, the membership group that she has, she's been running that for maybe ever since, like, at least for a month or so. So just, that's something you might want to try. Bossy Bruja, highly recommend her as well. Let's see, sacred smoke. And I said sage, you can use garden sage, but also juniper and rosemary can also be used to spiritually cleanse your home. So those are lavender as well. So these are just different things that are available. You don't have to only use sage. And then also play music. I love music. I love to incorporate music into my rituals, or even after it's over, or even when I'm getting in the mood, or when I'm trying to get in alignment. Play music. And if you are using music with lyrics, make sure that the lyrics are in alignment with your intention. So you can also use singing bowls if that's something that's very soothing for you, or bells. I have a bell that I use to end rituals for the Magical You membership group. You might be into binaural beats. You can listen to those. You can find them on YouTube. Binaural beats are these different frequencies of sound, and different frequencies are believed to be attached to different intentions. Like one particular frequency might be for healing, another one might be for prosperity. So if you want to try something like that out, check it out. I believe that Erykah Badu also experiments, or has experimented with binaural beats, or frequencies. So you can do a search on that, see if you would be interested. Also, singing your intentions. Don't just speak them, sing them. Sing it out. My old choir teacher used to say that singing is praying twice. And I love the way that sounds, and that also resonates with me. So maybe write a song about your desired intention. Or I also use a playlist. So for example, when I'm doing my weekly wealth ritual, I have this playlist on YouTube that plays all of these different wealth songs that are related to manifesting money and prosperity. So that's just little things you can do. So next up we have fire, the element of fire. Now, fire is both creative and as well as destructive. And I suppose all of these different elements can both be creative as well as constructive. It all depends on how you use them, right? And fire can warm our homes, and it can cook our food, but it can also burn through homes and forests. And the element of fire can be used for intentions related to courage, passion, anger, cleansing, rebirth, sex, energy, transformation, destruction, protection, purification, sex, and banishment. And the thing about fire, it also tends to have like a kind of a fiery, quicker kind of movement. If you want something to go fast, using fire can speed things up. If you kind of want to go with the flow, you would use more water. Think about that. So you can go deeper into the element of fire by lighting candles on a daily basis. You can practice looking into the flame for divine messages, scrying into the flame. You can research the science behind fire and its characteristics. Like, what does fire mean? And that could also inspire you. And you can wear colors that correspond to fire, and you can just go sunbathing, just go outside. Luckily, at this day, let's see, it's April 22nd. It's a beautiful day. The sun is out, and it just feels really good to be out in the sun. So I definitely, my husband and I will be taking our daily walk today because it's a gorgeous, gorgeous day. So when it comes to performing fire magic, here are some suggestions. Performing candle spells. Of course, you can release negativity and obstacles by burning papers or items. When you want to release something and then you burn it, boop, boop, it's gone. You can also incorporate sunbathing or recharging by sunlight. Now, for example, when it comes to crystals, many people will charge their crystals in the moonlight. But did you know that you can also use the sun? Certain crystals might respond better to sunlight than moonlight. But you want to, research that and experiment and see how that works for you. You can also brew sun tea. So you can make some tea and let the sun add its power and infuse your tea. And you can also make similar potions like that and let them get charged in the sunlight. You can get a fire pit or a cauldron. I know a lot of people love that fire pit. They have a fire pit at night. They have it going and they hang out with their loved ones, or maybe they like roast, toast marshmallows or hot dogs or something like that. Whatever that is for you. People like to grill. It's that time of the year, especially when people like to eat outside and make use of their fire pit. So that's definitely very, very fire magic. Of course, we cannot forget about participating in sex magic. Sex magic comes under fire. And don't come at me with, oh, but I don't have anybody. No, it doesn't matter. You can participate in sex magic whether you are single or partnered. I always like to say that for me, in my experience, sex magic is easier when you're by yourself because there's no distractions. You can just really focus on what it is that you want while you're thinking about it. So when you climax, you can really just you can focus on it. When I'm with, if I'm with my husband, it's kind of like I'm distracted because like all of these lovely things are happening and I might forget. Anyway, also if you're interested in hearth magic, meaning cooking, brewing, baking, that's also fire magic. So if you are a kitchen witch and you are interested in making stews or cakes or making beers, like that's all fire magic as well. So finally, we have the water element. And the water element, it works in conjunction with all of the other elements to sustain life on this planet. Water extinguishes fire, but it's also evaporated by fire. Water feeds the earth, and water is made with and moved by air. Both the planet and our bodies are mostly made up of water. So water is a big part of our life, and we cannot take it for granted. Now, when it comes to spells, we can use the element of water in intentions related to emotions, dreams, intuition, love, freedom, purification, again, dreams, harmony, and connections to spirits and ancestors. So if you have an ancestor altar, you might have a glass of water, or you might have like a chalice of water, some kind of glass of water on your altar, because water represents spirit. Now, if you want to go deeper into the elements of water, you can collect rain and storm water. You can charge water during different phases of the moon. And you can experiment with water that's been charged by the sun. We talked before about people charging things with the moon. Well, you can also charge things with the sun. You can try different things. You can enjoy spiritual baths. I love me a good spiritual bath. You can wear the colors of water and research plants and animals that are associated with water. So especially like when it comes to your altar, when you're thinking about the items that you want to put in your altar, if you feel that you're a water witch, for example, you might put things like a mermaid or an alligator. You know, you might have like an alligator claw. That's water. Let's see, what else might you put in there? I can't really think of anything offhand. Plus, you know, I could be here all day trying to figure out different statutes. But if you are attracted to a particular element, when you are building your altar or updating or refreshing your altar, think about what is meaningful to you. What kind of figurines are meaningful to you? And if you're into water magic, or like maybe you're attracted to mermaids, then maybe put a mermaid in there somewhere. So, you know, think about that. Have fun with that. And when it comes to performing water magic, I have some suggestions, such as you can use various kinds of magical waters as an offering on your altars. You can make your own magical water and intention oils. Like you might add herbs to them, or like even oil is considered water. It's a liquid. So maybe oil, like an intention oil, for example, I would consider that both a combination of earth and water. So, you know, experiment with what calls you. Also, water and mirror scrying, those also come under water. That's when you're looking at a glassy surface, whether it's actual glass or like a obsidian, like a shiny surface, or water itself, and just kind of letting yourself kind of turn your brain off and see what your see what your inner eye sees. That's scrying and divining using water or mirrors. That comes under water magic. And also sea deities. Sea deities are like, how many people, you know, are into Yemaya? But I remember reading about coming across someone who was into Poseidon. So it was this guy, and he had a statue of Poseidon on his altar, and that was where he sent his energy. And let's see, performing tea magic, that's an easy one. You know, so when you get up in the morning or maybe in the middle of the day, you have some tea and you choose the kind of herbs specifically for the intention that you want. Or even if you're just taking like green tea or black tea, you can take that time to be mindful and intentional. And if there's if there is an intention that you would like to attract to you as you are preparing your tea, you would stir it clockwise. If there's something that you want to banish or to remove, then you stir it backwards. You stir it counterclockwise. Then you drink it. And then you can also participate in some kind of purification ritual by swimming or skinny dipping in a natural body of water. Ooh, I love skinny dipping. I hope to get to do that this year. I've also been seeing a lot of people this year talk about ice plunges, like going into really cool water, or cold showers, cold pools, and on purpose. That's not my thing. I'm from Florida. I'm from Miami. I don't do that kind of stuff. But maybe that's something that you would, you know, something that would call you. I don't know. So those are some ideas for what you can do for incorporating the different elements in your spell. And I hope this gave you some good ideas. By the way, I didn't mention earlier, but I do have a free ebook available. It is called Pathways to Power, The Art and Magic of Manifestation. And I talk about different natural elements, as well as a whole bunch of other things. And I hope that this calls you. Hope you like this. And what else can I say about that? I will leave the link down below so you can get your free ebook. Of course, you can also get your Spellcraft Blueprint, the actual course bundle, if you really want to get deep and learn how to create the spells that only you can create. So this is me, Aunt Carla, for another video podcast of You Are the Spell. I hope you had a great time, and I hope you learned something. And, you know, magic is all around us, right? But always remember that you are magic.